1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Can hear you much better.
1, 2, 3. Okay, this is fine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is better. Okay.
You could maybe turn one of your cameras off and mute one of your audios.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You hear me just fine?
Great.
1,
Much
2,
better.
3. Okay. It will be my cell phone.
And does anybody recognize what LRP 58, who that might be?
Wait, Michael, what am I coming in as?
Yourself.
Okay, good.
We should have a.
Michael, it might be Jeff Forster. LRP is Lakes and Rivers, perhaps. I'm not sure.
I think Jeff Forrester has joined us.
Oh, he already has.
Yep,
Okay.
he has.
Hi, Rita.
Good afternoon.
All right.
Nice to see you.
Nice to
And
see you.
So we are live streaming. I'm going to start recording, and then when
I
the
think
chair is
you've
ready,
cleared.
we can start. So,
You've cleared the quorum.
11 o'clock.
I think we're ready to go as soon as you are, Senator Herr.
Okay. Everyone, welcome to the LCCMR committee meeting. Today is February 5th at 1 p.m. and I'll call this meeting to order. We have a somewhat medium agenda today, but we want to get it done, on time, and so we will try to. We'll go agenda by agenda then, but first on our agenda here is roll call, and I'd like Diane to roll call members.
Gibson.
Here.
Gibson present. Hanson.
Present.
Hanson present. Herr.
Her present.
Herr present. Acomb.
Present.
Acomb present. Albrecht.
Albright present.
Albrecht present. Backer.
Backer present.
Backer present. Deestick is excused. Faber.
Faber, aye.
Faber
Present.
present. Green.
present.
Green present. Heinzman. Heinzman.
Eitzman present.
Heinzman present. Hollins.
Hollins present.
Hollins present. Langseth.
Langseth present.
Langseth present. Moore.
More present.
Moore present. Morrison.
Morrison present.
Morrison present. Peichel.
Present.
Peichel present. Reese.
Present.
Reese present. And Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 15 members present.
Okay, so that means we have quorum for this meeting on February 5th. Next will be approving the minutes from December 7th, 2023. I'd like to have a member to give a motion on this.
Motion
Yes.
to approve, Faber.
Okay, favor motion to approve the minutes for December 7th. All in favor? This is a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion prevail. Now we will have see if any member have a conflict of interest to report. So looks like there's none. So we're going to move on to the next agenda. I spoke to Director Nash a few minutes ago before the meeting. Looks like there's not much to report here, and also we didn't get any public testimony requests. So we're going to move on to the next agenda, but just want to confirm that that is true. Director Nash?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sounds good. Then we're on item number 5 right now, presentation and action on emerging issue proposal. We are just ahead of time by a couple minutes, but we want to keep at this level so we can get this meeting done quickly. So we have 6 proposals, and I'd like to pass it on to Director Nash to, give us an update or report or, what's on her presentation. So go ahead, Director Nash.
Great, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. So we have 6 requests for funding from the LCCMR's Emerging Issues account. And these are, Emerging Issues account is treated differently from other funding requests we review in response to our regular RFP. These are requests for funding that has already been appropriated. So these do not need to go back to the legislature for approval. They do, however, require 60% approval of the members from the members present and subsequent approval from the governor. The available money is in 4 different appropriations with different deadlines to spend. So if the commission wants to fund these proposals, staff can work with the applicants to make sure that the funds are awarded from the appropriation that best meets the timeline needs for the project. The proposals must meet the emerging issues account criteria, and we have provided a handout on the meeting page that outlines those criteria. A couple of the proposals in request C would need 11 votes to approve, given that they are proposals for acquisitions of land that are either fully or partially publicly owned. And we provided the link to the relevant statute in the meeting page. That's 116P18, acquiring lands in public domain. If members wish to approve requests under C related to those acquisitions, there are some additional requirements the commission may want to include as conditions of their approval, and staff can go through those at the time of any motion. Staff also requests that approvals today include authority for LCCMR staff to approve the work plan so that we don't have to schedule another LCCMR meeting in order for the recipients to begin their work, which is especially critical in these situations when these are proposals that have a time-sensitive nature to them. The applicants are all here to provide an approximate 7-minute long presentation of their requests, and that can be followed by a few minutes for questions from members. And we will want to conclude this agenda item by 1:45 if we want to leave enough time for an update from our strategic planning subcommittee. That is all from me, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Director Nash. Any question from members? Okay, looks like there's no question from members, so we're going to move on to the presentation. Each presentation we'd like to keep it under 7 minutes, so that we can have extra time, like Director Nash mentioned, to allow time for strategic planning report. So first on our agenda here is the reducing turtle mortality through exclusionary fencing on MnDOT rights of way. Am I right on that, Director Nash?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and presenter is Shauna Gibson and Christopher Smith. If you're on board, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. Is everybody able to see the screen clearly? Okay, great. Thank you so much. My name is Shauna Gibson. I am the Highway Sponsorship Coordinator for the Minnesota Department of Transportation. And with me today is Christopher Smith. Christopher is our wildlife ecologist and our Protected Species Program Coordinator. A couple of things I just want to make clear before we begin the presentation. One, this is not a presentation for a study. This is the result of work that has been funded in part by LCCMR in the past, building on a study that MnDOT did with the Minnesota Zoo, testing our exclusionary fencing. And now that we've tested it successfully, we are ready to launch it. So that's the first housekeeping note. Another thing that I want to mention is that it really goes without saying that animals on our roadway are concerned not only for wildlife conservation, but of course for the safety of our traveling motorists, anybody who's on a bike, motorcycle, in a vehicle, or pedestrian. I think we have all seen people try and avoid a collision with an animal and thus drive a little bit erratically, which can cause a collision, obviously. And sometimes people get out of their vehicles to assist an animal that they think is in peril, and thereby also creating another potential safety hazard. So it extends beyond just the wildlife concerns. Within the next 60 days, we expect to see a lot more turtles on the roadside. That is because spring is almost here and it's their nesting and foraging season kicks off. They usually nest and forage in the spring, summer, and then again in fall. So if we can build this fencing now, this spring, we can immediately reduce the turtle mortality in the area that we're proposing to build this. So a little bit more
Thank
about.
you, Ms. Shauna.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I thought you were concluding, but go ahead.
Oh,
Continue.
yep. Nope. I thought it was 8 minutes, so get ready. So in Minnesota, we have 9 native turtle species. 2 of those are on our threatened species list. One is the Blandings turtle and one is the wood turtle. Now, it's important to note that they have been on this threatened species list for the last 40 years. In 2023, the wood turtle is being reviewed for inclusion into the list of federally threatened species. We expect that review to be done sometime in the federal fiscal year of 2024. So if that passes, it's going to make the state's urgency to care for these turtles even more of an urgent matter than it is now. One other thing about turtles that sort of compounds problems that they have, specifically wood turtles, they are more terrestrial than some of our other turtle counterparts that are native to Minnesota. That means they spend more time on land just as it is, thus increasing their risk. Another thing about wood turtles is that they have to reach a certain age of maturity before they can even begin to lay eggs, and that's 12 to 14 years. So they have to manage to dodge traffic and all the other perils that they encounter for a good amount of time before they're able to even add any turtles to their already dwindling population. In 2020, the DNR completed the Minnesota Wood Turtle Conservation Plan, and that plan does list roadside mortality as an area of great concern and also lists fencing as a mitigation strategy to that. A little bit about the decrease of wood turtles that we are seeing as an emerging issue. So in a survey of 8 different sites in northeastern Minnesota conducted between 2016 and 2018, we found some alarming results. At these 8 sites in 2016, the estimated turtle population, wood turtles again, was 247 individuals. And 2 years later, that number had dwindled to just 88. These were at the same sites, and it's also important to note that this is considered one of our set of best sites for wood turtle study. They are most abundant in this region. So as you can see, with numbers declining so regularly, and again, because they've been on the species threatened list since 1984, it's very critical that we attend to this spring to prevent increased mortality along the roadside. I also want to point out that in May of 2023, the Minnesota Biological Survey looked at Goodhue County and they found only 2 wood turtles. Now, those were the first 2 that have been on record since 1999. The good news is that those 2 turtles are about 20 years of old, meaning that they are of age to lay eggs as of now. So speaking of Goodhue County, MnDOT is turning its attention to the area along Highway 61 near Red Wing, Minnesota. Highway 61 spans the Cannon River Turtle Preserve and the Cannon River. The Cannon River Turtle Preserve is a scientific and natural area. It's 910 acres, so it is a substantial investment that the state of Minnesota has made for this SNA. And it's also a high risk for wood turtle mortality, as wood turtles specifically tend to nest and forage within about 500 feet of where they typically spend their time. Some of our proposed project details. Again, immediate construction is necessary. As the turtles begin to forage and nest, it's important that this fencing be constructed to keep them safe and out of the roadway. The fencing would be approximately 3/4 of a mile in each direction, and that would span between 2 MnDOT bridges. So that means turtles and other small animals who encounter the fencing are going to be redirected to safe passage that already exists. So with 2 bridges there, there's already 2 places to go underneath the road and have safe passage. And that's important because it means that we need no additional money for more infrastructure, culverts, anything like that. We already have that in place. We have talked with the DNR staff, so Scientific and Natural Area staff and Region 3 non-game staff are all supportive so far of MnDOT's fencing proposal. And we've also had some initial conversations with the Prairie Island community, Indian community, and they are also working on a proposal right now for eco passage for turtles in roughly the same area. And they have also expressed an interest in our fencing project. This is what the fencing actually looks like, and I'm really excited to share this with you because, again, we spent a lot of time studying this, again, with some help from LCCMR in the past. Thank you for your contributions towards that. And now we're really ready to put this fencing up. So again, MnDOT and the zoo studied this small animal exclusionary fencing. And this design has a J-hook end treatment. That means that as the turtles encounter the fencing and then go along the length of it, they're going to hit a corner, which will then direct them in one way, and then another corner, which will direct them back, hopefully the way that they came from and towards safe passage. When we installed this between 2019 and 2021 and did our monitoring, with the initial design, we found pretty outstanding results. Adult turtle mortality was decreased by 83%. So we thought, well, that's really good, but it's not quite enough because the hatchlings and the juveniles are still getting through the fencing. So we went back and did some redesign, retesting, retrofitting, and we added what's called a hardware cloth to the fencing. That's dug down about 1 foot and then extends 2 feet up the fencing. And that creates a barrier for even the smallest turtles. So when we tested again, we found amazing results. We found that for all turtles, young and old alike, the reduction in mortality from roadside collisions was 91%. So again, this is tested, tried, true. It's off the shelf, it's relatively inexpensive, and we've already gone through the design process. One thing to mention too is that this proposal has been created with the help from the Highway Sponsorship Program at MnDOT. We're a relatively new program, and we aim to leverage public and private partnerships to install landscape enhancements in the existing right-of-way. If we are able to get the funding for this project, we will be able to demonstrate to potential private partners that MnDOT has a significant investment of time and energy here in this area. We do think that it will strongly increase other private entities to jump on board with this project and thus extend the reach of the LCCMR grant dollars that are given to us and just continue to improve the area overall for turtles and other wildlife. Recap of our deliverables. This is all in the proposal before, but again, it's approximately 6,160 feet of small animal exclusionary fencing. That includes the hardware cloth that I mentioned before, signs, talking about the nature of this fencing as being specific and making sure maintenance doesn't do any upgrades without contacting our wildlife ecologist. Installation of some natural vegetation and also materials for nesting so that these turtles have areas nearby where they can forage safely, and the installation of trail cameras to monitor our success and make any corrections as necessary. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. We really hope that this will move forward. We're excited to help save some turtles this spring, and we hope that you are as well. We'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Shanna Gibson. And before your conclusion, I see a hand from Chair Hansen. So, Chair Hansen, your question, please.
I would move to approve reducing turtle mortality through exclusionary fencing for an emerging issue with $248,823.
Okay. Any discussion on Representative Hansen's motion? Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, this is Steve Green. I got my hand up.
Yes, Senator Green. Yes, go ahead, Senator Green.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for the testifier, Mr. Chair. To start out with, it looks like this is just barely over a mile of fence, and you've got roughly $250,000 to do that. And it says fencing and materials is 238, well, basically $239,000 of that. And that just seems very excessive to me. I mean, very, very excessive, in fact. And I'm looking at this fence and I'm wondering if turtles have wings, because this thing is got, you're putting up a high fence. So my question is, first of all, who is going to install the fence? Is it going out on contracts, or are DNR staff going to put this in, or who's going to put the fence in?
Yes, this would be part of a negotiated maintenance contract that MnDOT would put out.
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
You got that? Yes, Senator Green.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Then, but that doesn't really answer my question. Is the DNR going to install the fence, and where are you going to buy the fence?
Okay, great questions. Thank you. Thank you so much thank you for that. So as I mentioned, this is what we call like off the shelf. So the reason that the chain link fence is as high as it is because that's the standard height of chain link fence. So buying it off the shelf definitely saves us money. Yes, it is about 3/4 of a mile that we're fencing. It would not be done by the DNR. It would be done by a contractor under a negotiated maintenance contract with MnDOT. So it would not be DNR putting the fencing in. It would be MnDOT through a contract. And I think if there were any other questions about the cost of it, we did look at a current proposal for fencing that is going in, as well as other fencing. And we do believe that this is a pretty good count of the number of dollars it will take to put up the fencing. And remember too, it's 3/4 of a mile in length, but that's on both sides of Trunk Highway 61. So it's more than 3/4, but it's only spanning 3/4, if you will.
Senator Green.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just one more question, I guess. I'm still looking at the cost, and it seems pretty outrageous on the cost for this. And so you say that you haven't really done an estimate on this. You're just going off of what other fences have cost. Is that correct?
Yes, well, we're using the fences that we've installed, including some fencing that's going in right now on I-35W, and used that linear square or that linear foot price to calculate the expected price here. Now, that's not to say that a contractor might come in with a bid that is less, and hopefully that would be the case. But based on the other fencing that we have put up and are putting up right now, we use the same linear foot price there as we did in this presentation.
Okay.
So then just one comment, Mr. Chair.
Senator Green, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I still, well, I'm not going to vote for this. I think this is not a wise use of this much money. But if it does go forward, I would really like to see a breakdown of how much of that $250,000 is going for labor and how much for materials? Because it just says fencing and materials, and it doesn't show me anything for labor on there. So I'd like to have that breakdown. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator. I saw two more hands before I go there, just to let, I'm sure our members know, but in case public are viewing and they want to get the proposal and budget and presentation, you can get that online at lccmr.mn.gov. So next on my list is Mr. Reese, Commissioner Reese. Commissioner Reese, are you there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe Representative Backer is waited quite a bit longer than myself, so I'll defer to him.
Okay.
I'm okay. I can go after Mr. I'm okay, Chair. I can go after Mr. Reese. That's fine. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just had a quick question for Shauna. So will you be going out for bids then? And is how many bids is a required amount for a state contract like this? Is it at least 3?
Yes, this would be a negotiated Yes, this would be a negotiated maintenance contract, so it would be going out to 3. We would get bids from 3 parties. That's correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Reese, any follow-up? You good?
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Yeah, and my apology to Representative.
No, we're okay. No problem,
okay.
Chair.
Go ahead now.
Okay, thank you. One of the things in the statute that talks about this when we are looking at these emerging issues is that this was something that was unexpected. And how did this come about being an unexpected project where we've known that the turtle species, we've had challenges in the past with them, which you shared very well. I appreciate that, and so forth. So I do appreciate that. But to me, this doesn't seem something unexpected. Please help me out with that. How explain why this proposal was unexpected. If you could do that there, Ms. Gibson, I would greatly appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for the question. I'd be happy to elaborate on that. So you're right, turtle collisions with vehicles is not a new issue, but what is new is the information that's coming out, specifically about how much the decline has been in the last few years. So again, I would point you to the one study that I referenced in the 8 study areas in northeastern Minnesota. And then also what really caught our attention was the results from Goodhue County. So when the Minnesota Biological Survey went out with their turtle team to try and identify turtles and where they were in the different areas of Minnesota, in all of Goodhue County, they only found 2 wood turtles. Our wildlife ecologist is on the call right now, and he could chime in if he wanted to, but these species are definitely threatened. We do feel that it's potential for them to have, a very limited handful of wood turtles potentially left in the state. They're native only to the eastern part of the state, so they're not widespread. And like I mentioned before, they are at higher risk of turtle mortality from roadside collisions, simply because they're on the road more than a lot of other turtles. So you are right, we've always had turtle collisions. What we're finding now is that the amount of wood turtles population that is declining at a very, very fast rate. And that seems to be in the study area, which again was in northeastern Minnesota, but also in Goodhue County where Red Wing is, where the location of only 2 wood turtles is very concerning to us.
Okay, now let's go back to the motion by Chair.
One follow-up question. Question, just real quick. So
Representative Backer.
Thank you so much. So when you had your staff people go out and so forth, that was just random, because what it sounds to me, if you're saying that there's only 2 turtles, we're putting up fencing for 2 turtles. I mean, that's not I mean, all you said is you saw 2 turtles. That does not mean that there's only 2 turtles out there. Is that correct, Ms. Gibson?
Yes, that is correct, of course. Yes, you make a very relevant point. This was not a MnDOT study. This was part of the Minnesota Biological Survey, which is a DNR program. And so they survey for species all over the state, and then their findings are reported. So this is just from the May of 2023. And yes, of course, we don't know where in Goodhue County these 2 turtles were, if they're even in this vicinity. But even if it's not protecting these 2 specific wood turtles, it is potentially protecting hundreds of other turtles and small animals. And we think their lives are important too, but of special concern is the wood turtle. And one of the reasons we've acquired, or the DNR rather, has acquired so much acreage for the Cannon River Turtle Preserve, property owners there cited when they did the land acquisitions with the DNR as the wood turtle habitat being an area of concern for them. So it's definitely something on the radar screen for the people in the Red Wing community, people who live along the river. And yes, it would be obviously inexcusable to spend $250,000 to protect 2 turtles. This will protect far more than 2 turtles, and we do believe that it will cut down on road mortality of other species as well.
Sure. I just have one more quick comment, and thank you so much, Ms. Gibson. The project seems reasonable to me. My concern that I have is that we have a normal process. My concern, does this really fall into an emerging issue? We have a process already. I think the statute is very clear on what an emerging issue is. That would be my only comment. So we do need to protect our species, but to me, this doesn't seem to fall into as an emerging issue. We've always known turtle issues. So that's my last comment. I do appreciate your presentation, Ms. Gibson.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I believe you're muted.
Members, I don't see any hand at the moment, so we're going to go back to the motion by Representative Hanson. Maybe Representative Hanson or Director Nash, you can restate the motion one more time, and then we'll have a roll call by Diane, our staff.
I renew my motion.
Representative Hanson, can you reinstate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I renew my motion to authorize for emerging issues the reducing turtle mortality for $248,000, and the exact amount is in the agenda. I believe that the testifier has showed the need for this. In addition, in the packet, it indicates that we have some appropriations that will expire on June 30th of 2024. So I think this is appropriate and timely. We could get the fence up and save these turtles, and I would ask for a yes vote.
Okay. Can we have roll call by the staff?
Gibson.
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson.
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her. Acomb.
Acomb, yes.
Acomb, yes. Albrecht.
Albrecht, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Backer.
Backer, no.
Backer, no. D-Stick is excused. Faber.
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green.
No.
Green, no. Heinzman.
No.
Heinzman, no. Hollins.
Hollins, yes.
Hollins, yes. Langseth.
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore.
Moore, yes.
Moore, yes. Morrison.
Morrison, yes.
Morrison, yes. Peichel.
Peichel, yes.
Peichel, yes. Reese.
Reese, no.
Reese, no. Westrom is excused. Her. Senator Her.
Yes.
Her, yes.
Her, yes.
Currently, there are 11 yes and 4 no.
And Mr. Chair, 9 are
Okay,
needed.
motion prevail. Thank you, Director Nash. So motion prevail. Thank you very much. Now we move on to the next presentation. Stop story in community invasive species containment, Minnesota Lake.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Forster. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I'll thank you for allowing me to present, and I'll share my screen, I guess. Is that the... So this is a continuation of LCCMR grant that started in 2021, I think is when I first testified on behalf of this proposal. I feel much better today than I did the last time. It was COVID-19 and I don't actually remember the first time I presented. So I'll go through quickly the scope and scale of starry stonewort in the state, the civic organizing outreach that we've been doing, the steps that we've taken, the outcomes that address the emerging needs at the end. And I'll try and skip along here. So there's 850 registered watercraft in the state. 60% go to more than one lake. That's the source of AIS spread in the state of Minnesota by and large. It's the largest vector of spread. It's also important, of course, our lakes are critical to our economy and our way of life, our heritage, and starry stonewort is particularly difficult. One of the tools that we have and that this program is built on is based on the idea that it's illegal to transport aquatic invasive species. So when you're exiting, when a boater is exiting a lake, they're obligated to clean, drain, and dry their watercraft before moving on to the next lake. 90% of boaters know about clean, drain, dry. We've done a pretty good job of letting people know that this is important, and surveys tend to reflect this, but not all boaters take the steps they need to take when they need to take them because they lack the tools to do it. Starry stonewort in particular, these are all photos from Lake Coronas, the first lake in the state, the starry stonewort. They're spending about $170,000 annually, basically to keep one access open so that you can navigate in it. It wraps up. So the first time wraps up in the propeller. It's really it forms a dense mat on the surface of the lake when it gets going. 2021, there were 16 water bodies in the state. And our idea at the time was to try and provide the equipment that people need to clean, drain, and dry their watercraft at the accesses where they need it, available for free 24/7. And we were slower getting the equipment out. Part of it was COVID. Part of it was the process of working through the permitting. At the same time, the Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center kind of ramped up a program called Starry Trek and started looking for it, training volunteers to go out and look for starry stonewort, and they've been finding it. There was 4 lakes found last fall that had it. 3 of those seemed like they were a relatively new infestation, and 1 was older. But still, the reason why I see this as an emerging issue is I don't believe that the the cow's out of the barn yet. If you look at these kind of invasion curves, we're still pretty low. Starry stonewort is that black line at the bottom. And I think it's possible to contain it if we can get ahead of the curve. One of the key tools in this is this AIS Explorer. I believe it was funded in part by LCCMR. And it provides a risk assessment for every lake in the state. And it also provides sort of a mapping tool. So you can follow this model backwards to see which lakes are more likely to be the source of an AIS in a new lake, and kind of the paths between them, developing the connections between different geographies, different water bodies in the state, and thereby the communities that are associated with those water bodies. Research from MACERC found that once a lake becomes infested, so starry stonewort is found in Lake Corona's first time in the state, the lakes within a 50-mile radius have a much greater risk of becoming infested, and that's what we saw. So the first lakes infested were lakes immediately around Coronas in the Stearns Right area. One of the lakes that was discovered last fall was in Kandiyohi County, very close. And so by connecting these, through our civic organizing, connecting the resource managers and the civic groups that are interested in preventing the further spread of starry stonewort in their communities with each other, we get a much better kind of focus on the problem, much better collaboration. Let me go back one graph here. And the mapping by the MACERC also talks about the need to develop partnerships and collaborations between groups as a best practice for preventing the spread of AIS. And this map on the left kind of shows those relationships for starry stonewort in Minnesota. So what we've been working on is, and this is citizen-led with the partners, county resource managers, DNR, Forest Service, tribal nations, businesses even, is really kind of amping up community-based social marketing, encouraging people to take the pledge not to spread AIS in these areas, surveying the boat ramps to see if the signage is up to date, lots of articles in the newsletters of lake associations and in local media, and developing new management strategies for starry stonewort in particular. Some of the things that have come out of this are using diver-assisted suction harvest, which was developed. Really, their Leech Lake Band of Ojibwa is exploring the use of this on the Minnesota River, Mississippi River at Oak Haven Resort, and now they're starting to use it in a couple of other places. Options other than chemical, because chemical treatments are pretty ineffective. Starry stonewort is not a vascular plant, it's an algae. So it doesn't take chemicals up into itself and die. It just has to be in contact with the chemical, and then that part of the organism dies. Smothering hand pulling protocols are showing some promise of repeated hand pulling. And these are all things that people in the groups are working on together. The original grant request in 2021 was for 1.5 million. And it was scaled back to 1 million. And so how did we make up the difference with new lakes coming online? We prioritized the accesses based on the risk assessment from the MACERC and kind of community engagement. What was the appetite in the community for this? Was there a strong organization that was interested in taking a lead on this? And started our work there, changed some of the equipment that we were putting out. We've been able to get 27 cleaning stations installed. with 22,244 individual tool uses. So these machines are connected online and provide data in real time as to which tool is being used, how long it's being used, when it's being used, day of the week it's being used. And so you can get a lot of good data out of this as well. We've had over 50 public meetings, over 25 civic organizing meetings. We've done direct email communications to tens of thousands of people. Spoke with Doug Jensen at DNR, and we had put out a couple of email solicitations to take the pledge, and he said that their list of people who had taken the pledge doubled, which I was pleased with. And just kind of keeping up the education and the outreach and the awareness campaign of Starry Trek and Starry Stonewort clean drain dry practices in general. So there's benefits. Our focus is Starry Stonewort, but I think that this work impacts all AIS because the actions that you take to prevent Starry Stonewort also prevent zebra mussels, milfoil, spiny water flea. The emerging issue is kind of the lakes that are emerging now. I'm thinking if we can get the equipment in place and ramp up further the organizing outreach efforts in these communities and continue it for a bit longer so that these groups, which are multi-county, multi-agency, citizens and government working together, a couple more years to develop those relationships. I think that those groups can be sustainable, and my hope is that they would continue on after the fact. And that's really where COVID kind of hit us, is we couldn't meet in person. It was just a very difficult time to do this kind of one-on-one work at that point in time. And then also expand.
Mr. Forster.
Yes.
Mr. Forster, are you near the end?
Yes.
We're trying to keep this presentation about a minute. It's been 10 minutes already.
Thank you. Any questions?
You good? Okay. All right. So, any questions? I only see one hands up right now. So, Chair Hansen.
I would move approval of the Stop Starry Invasion proposal for Starry Stonewort, Minnesota Lakes and Rivers Advocates, $385,000 from the emerging issues account.
Okay, and this discussion, I also see Senator Green's hand, so let's go to Senator Green. I'm sure he
Thank you,
has a
Mr.
question.
Chair.
So Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple questions for Mr. Forster. The one, when I was reading through this, it was alluded to that one of the setbacks you guys are having is the DNR isn't cooperating as much as you think they should. Is that a correct statement?
Mr. Forster.
Yes, Chair and Senator Green, members of the committee. One of the problems we've had is that the DNR requires because the units have a cement base, they required that a cultural survey be done on the site, which means the Minnesota Historical Society has to go out and survey the site for cultural artifacts. The tribes, the counties, National Forest Service, obviously private land, have not required this. So, with the Forest Service or the tribes, Leech Lake Band, it was, a week, and we had the permits to install these. County boards, typically it was a month until their next board meeting. Same with townships. DNR, the process has been very protracted, 8 months, a year. So yes.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. Representative Backer.
Mr. Chair, I don't think I have some follow-up.
Okay, Senator Green, follow up.
Thank you. So, Mr. Forrester, I'm usually in for this. I think this is the kind of stuff that actually our money should be spent on. I have some concerns over the cultural heritage or the cultural issues with the DNR, because if the tribes are on board with it, and I don't know what pulling these things out of the lake is going to be affecting in that area, but if you got a cement base, so that I think even as a group, as legislators, we need to come together and put some more pressure within the DNR to move this along, because it sounds a little bit ridiculous. But the other question I have, or the other concern that gives me a little bit pause here, is that you started out with 16 lakes, now you're up to 27. And I'm wondering if you can register any success with what you're doing, or are you holding it at, or you think you're holding it at bay? Are you making any progress on the lakes, or not?
Thank you, Senator
Mr.
Green.
Forster.
Thank you, Senator Green, for the question, and members of the committee. I think some of the lakes that we're finding are a result of, now we're looking for it more. So I think that having the Starry Trek from Macer kind of come online and really start to develop at the same time we were doing our work, we were hoping for that. But I think the monitoring of the lakes is getting much more sophisticated, and there's a lot more people out looking for it. I think last year it was over 200 people that were out on lakes looking for starry stonewort. I know a lot of the AIS coordinators also put in place really significant monitoring programs. And one of the bright spots of this is by finding it early, they're able to kind of jump on it. And yes, it's still there, but it's not invasive. It's not the situation that Coronas has on many of these lakes. They're getting it down to 5 grams they're finding after a couple of years of treatment. So like a teacup's worth. So it's still in the lake. It's still a problem. It still needs management, but it's not overrunning the lake. So I'm hoping that by taking action now, getting the equipment in place, continuing the education campaign and the partnership building and expanding, monitoring, early response kind of messaging, we might be able to get ahead of it. Michigan has over 1,000 starry stonewort lakes in it now. And I don't think we want to go to that place.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Foster.
you.
And I'm going to.
And then, Mr. Chair, just a comment. Thank you for that
Senator,
answer. It
any-
does sound like you're making progress. Appreciate that.
Okay. Sounds good. Mr. Representative Becker.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. And thank you there. It's Mr. Forrester. Is I'm pronouncing that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I would agree with Senator Green. This is something that seems what we should be doing. The challenge I still have here, and I want to be very fair, but the statute talks about very clearly, in my opinion, emerging issues. I think we could have a number of people across the state say, my issue is emerging. So my question is, why is this unexpected now, where you've been working on this and so forth? There's a clear parameter defined for this that you have an issue. I get it. We want our lakes clean. Totally. I believe lakes are made for water skiing, but the case to move forward now compared to the normal process, I have not heard that case here, Mr. Forrester. And I want to be very fair because like I said, this seems reasonable, but we're stepping out of our process from what I interpret us supposed to be doing. I'm concerned that these issues, I should not talk. I'll just refer to you. Please make that case for me because that case has not been made in your presentation there, please.
Thank you, Representative Backer, and members of the committee. There was that graph that showed starry stonewort really started to increase in about 2021. So we're year 3 really of that curve, and you saw those other curves going up. Right now we're at the containment, early containment, and treatment phase. And the treatments are showing some potential. But I mean, is it an emerging issue as of this very moment in time? Maybe not. But within the next year or two or three, we're at a very critical moment in the spread of this species in the state. You know, zebra mussels got away from us. If we had taken this kind of action within the first 2, 3, 4 years, maybe it would look different than it looks now. Same with spiny water. Yeah, emerging developing issue right now. In the next couple of years is when we have an opportunity to address this, and after that, I'm not as sanguine about the possible outcomes.
Thank you. No follow-up.
Foster.
Yep. Thank you. No follow-up.
Follow-up. Okay.
None, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Now, okay. Representative Hanson, can you remove your motion? And
I renew my motion to authorize the Starry Stonework 385,000 from the emerging issues, and I also want to make sure that staff have the authority to work on the work plan with this and any other projects that are approved. I ask for a yes vote.
Okay. Okay. Roll call. Diane.
Gibson.
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson.
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her.
Yes.
Her, yes. Acomb.
Yes.
Acomb, yes. Albrecht.
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Becker.
Yes, Backer.
Becker, yes. D-Stick is excused. Faber.
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green.
No.
Green, no. Heinzman. Heinzman.
Heinzman, yes.
Heinzman, yes. Hollins.
Collins, yes.
Hollins, yes. Langseth.
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore.
Moore, yes.
Moore, yes. Morrison.
Morrison, yes.
Morrison, yes. Peichel.
Yes.
Peichel, yes. Reese.
Reese, yes.
Reese, yes. Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 14 yes, 1 no.
Okay, with that, motion prevail. The next on our agenda, item C. They always say save the best for last, but the other two projects took a little bit more time than we needed, and I just want to ask the next presenter the fee title and conservation easement acquisition to present, but see if you can speed it up a little bit. So the floor is yours, Mr. Alsinger and Lisa West. Are you there? Can you unmute yourself? Dakota County fee title and conservation easement acquisition. There's 4 appropriation here: Benjamin CDA, Haskell Street, and Wickland. Miss West. Hello, Director Nash. What's that? Yeah.
Mr. Chair, we know that they are here. We have been communicating with them, but they must be having difficulty signing on, and so some of our staff are giving them a call.
Okay.
And
is there? Should we move on to the next agenda and come back, or wait?
We could either do that. Mr. Chair, I could go over a couple of the conditions that the members might want to consider if they approve these requests, or we could go on to the agenda item 6.
Okay, let's go to item number 6, and then come back to when the presenter is ready. We'll come back to you, and we'll go to to Dakota County, the president of Dakota County. Sounds good? Okay.
Sounds good.
So this is strategic planning updates, and we'd like to have co-chair Rita Albright make the presentation.
Thank you, Senator Hurd.
Yep.
So this will be very brief, and I'll be happy to take questions if you have them. So the subcommittee on strategic planning has met 3 times in the last month, and we will have another meeting today, hopefully after this one, to finalize some of our plans. At the first meeting, Rita Albright, was elected as chair, and Mike Reese was elected vice chair. So the subcommittee has been working hard. We developed and approved a survey to collect information from the public on their priorities for future funding. There's been a lot of support for getting some broad-based feedback on the LCCMR and what our organization should really be looking for in the future. The plan for the survey is emphasis on getting responses from lots of different Minnesotans and through several different methods. We developed and approved a survey to collect information from subject matter experts, so those that work in the natural resource field, and ask them what they believe their top goals and strategies for the next 6 years should be, because the strategic plan is required to be updated every 6 years, which is one of the reasons that we're undertaking this effort right now. The subject matter expert survey will also collect information on their experience and satisfaction with the funding process. So we'd like to know, how does our process work for them? Do they get timely information? You know, just a number of questions on the current existing process that we have, the RFP and the online system and all of that. Both surveys will be opening in late March, early April. I think they'll be open probably about 6 weeks, which is plenty long, we hope, to get feedback. We are also working on a plan for remote and in-person listening sessions, which is one of the things that we hope to finalize today at our subcommittee meeting after this meeting adjourns. So at the remote or in-person listening sessions, all LCCMR commission members are going to be welcomed and encouraged, really, to attend those listening sessions, because we'd like to have you hear firsthand what Minnesotans are saying about the Environmental Trust Fund. And finally, the subcommittee has had a very productive discussion on a new vision and mission statement. As you can appreciate, probably, it's not easy to write a mission statement and a vision statement remotely when we haven't been in the room together, and there's not that ability to really have spontaneous conversation. We are on, our meetings are recorded. They're also on YouTube and Facebook, and so the public can listen in, but that kind of a system makes it somewhat difficult to really have conversations in the way we would normally have them if we were meeting in person and in sort of a, an informal setting. But we have had discussions about that. We've really done good work, I think, on narrowing down some of the ideas for our vision statement and our mission statement. And we'll be taking that up again. Our next meeting will be in early June, because as you all know, the legislature goes into session next week from today, and we want to make sure that legislators are able to attend. And it's very difficult during the session to have those extra meetings. So we'll be meeting again in early June as a subcommittee. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would take any questions that folks have.
Okay, thank you, Chair Albright, for a thorough update. Just want to see if any members have questions. Okay, you're very thorough, so thank you everyone for listening well. And the reason I kind of rushed our meeting here, because we're scheduled to have our subcommittee at 2 o'clock, but I think we're a little flexible, and thank you for your understanding, Chair Rita Albright, for your patience as well. So thank you for the presentation, and we'll now go back to Item C, and to see if the presenter are ready to go, Al Singer and Lisa West. And so, are they back? Are they ready?
I believe we are, Mr. Chair and members. Can you hear us?
Okay, we can hear you, and I'm glad that we have you back online now. And we, I know there's a lot for you to say in your presentation, but see if you can speed it up a little bit, and we'll go so we can stay on time of our meeting. We already, like budget a little bit into our subcommittee schedule. But go ahead with the presentation.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. My name is Al Singer. I'm the real estate manager for Dakota County. And with me is Lisa West, the senior project manager and grants manager. Before I would begin, I'd just like to acknowledge that all of this work was really premised on the commission providing $300,000 in the late 1990s for the county to do a protection plan. And we have been working 21 years since that time. Lisa and I have had the great privilege of completing 181 projects, protecting 13,000 acres of land in Dakota County, worth a value of about $112 million. We have four projects for your consideration this morning or this afternoon. The first one is the Wickland property. It's located in southwestern Dakota County. It's in Waterford Township. It's 1 mile from 14 previously acquired easements of about 670 acres. This particular property is 124 acres plus a potential 5 to 7 additional acres. It includes 3,800 feet of Chub Creek and a mosaic of plant communities, including some rare and threatened species. This is an unusual project because we worked 10 years with the landowner to acquire a conservation easement in 2021 on 122 acres using a combination of state outdoor heritage money and county money. At that time, the landowner was interested in just maintaining the property, but because of some health conditions, their age, they're in the mid-80s, and family members who are not interested in the property, they approached the county about acquiring fee title to create a new county park conservation area on this particular site. So the appraisal is underway. It's supposed to be draft completed in 10 days from now. We are estimating the cost to take this private land to become publicly available land with the potential of adding some additional land. And the estimated cost is $270,000. The county is proposing to provide 25% match for a request of about $200,000 of ENR TF funds. I should note that the landowner has already agreed to provide nearly $60,000 of cash and in-kind to do additional restoration on the property under a contract with the county. And I might add that this will be the third time in 5 years that the governor will be holding his annual turkey opener on this property on April 20th. Our next project is a little different again. This is 4.9 acres in the city of Hastings. The Community Development Agency is a separate political subdivision of the state whose mission is to create affordable housing for working families and for seniors. And we worked with the CDA to acquire excess land that they had previously acquired for our greenway systems. But in this case, we had 4 different public needs for this particular property. One was for an additional section of the Vermilion River Greenway. Second is to protect the Vermilion River. The third is to provide adequate right-of-way for a new roundabout at the County Road 46 and Pleasant Avenue. So the CDA worked on our behalf to acquire the property. They're in the process of replatting it with the city of Hastings. And then as proposed, the county would acquire about 4.9 acres for the combination greenway and natural area. The greenway then facilitates the construction of a tunnel beneath Pleasant Avenue so people don't have to cross at surface grade of this increasingly busy street. Next. This is fee acquisition from the CDA. Again, a 75-25% cost split, and so the requested cost to the commission would be $105,000. The county then would be responsible for restoration. So I'm going to let Lisa talk about the next two projects.
Hello, I'm the blur behind Al. I'm sorry, we were in his office. This is the Benjamin property. You can see it's along the Mississippi River, and along the east boundary are homes that are already being developed. It's in Nininger Township, and there is a Mississippi River Regional Greenway that goes past this property. It's 33 acres. There's woodlands. There's 5 acres of restored prairie already on the property, and the agricultural land would be restored to prairie as well. It would be a natural area conservation easement. The acquisition cost is approximately $268,500, and we'd be requesting $185,000 from ENRTF. We also already have some estimated restoration costs for restoring the prairie. This is an important property based on the development that's right next to it. We are hoping to secure land protection for this one as quickly as we can. The last project we have to show you is Haskell Street Conservation property. It's located in West St. Paul. It's very small, as you can see, large bur oaks on this property. This is the first easement we would have in West St. Paul. We're always looking for opportunities in the more developed cities in the county, and this one would be hopefully a trigger to additional open space protection in the area. There are several undeveloped lots surrounding it, along with MnDOT right-of-way running down the highway, and we're hoping to secure this easement as quickly as we can. This is a group of landowners, siblings, and they are very supportive right now, but they'd like to get this property protected as quickly as we can. It would be a natural area conservation easement again, and you can see the potential acquisition cost and the breakdown with state funds. Fairly minimal restoration cost on this one, but again, important. The city of West St. Paul is very enthusiastic about protecting small neighborhood open spaces in the city, and that's one of the reasons we were drawn to this project. We made it as quick as we could. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from members? I see hand from Chair Hansen, and then followed by Representative Becker. Chair Hansen.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move, I'm going to move these individually. So I would move the Benjamin to approve the Benjamin property, $185,000 from emerging issues as described by Dakota County, and I would ask for your support. And that is with
Becker.
DNR or review by staff.
Yes, that's important. Okay, Representative Becker, followed by Mr.
Yeah,
Reese.
thank you, Chair. Even though that's, I mean, we're taking one by one, I'm just going to ask this question once here. I think people know is what I'll ask is, first, I am concerned of the second project taking so much farmland out. But the key thing is, why aren't we not bringing this through the normal issue? I think we're setting a poor precedent, members. that everything's becoming emerging because someone else thinks it's emerging. So could one of our speakers, presenters, why was this unexpected? Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you there, Mr. Singer.
Mr. Chair and members, when we were alerted to the fact that this opportunity was here, as members, I hope can appreciate, these acquisition projects take a long time. And so one of the really important considerations that we understood was, could we complete these acquisition projects by this, June 30th of this year? And we believe that we can do that. And so that was one of the things. And then we have individual circumstances with each of these landowners, elderly people that are really anxious to make sure that this can be done in a timely fashion. We have siblings that don't necessarily agree and are getting impatient. And so these things can all kind of unravel at the same time. And so this is a balancing act. These go through a process. We want to do our due diligence. We have to work with voluntary landowners, and we have to do it in an expeditious way. And so we thought that this was a balance of being able to achieve all of those objectives.
Chair, follow-up? Mr. Chair?
Yes, Representative follow-up.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Mr. Singer, but I know I have been pulled over by a police officer saying I was in a hurry, and he was not as gracious. So, and again, I don't mean that. I know how families are. I know our society today. I work with customers all the time. People want things now, but we do have a process to follow. That's, again, it's nothing. You've done a good job of presenting your case, so I'm not here to belittle your projects at all. I'm just concerned about that. Is this really unexpected? That's my concern. So thank you again for me indulging on that and so forth. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Becker, for your concern. On the list of questioning is Mr. Reese, Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Singer, I appreciate your answer, but I would say that to Representative Backman, but I would say that every land acquisition is much the same. And I do think, even though these cases were made for the last two projects, I think they had a better case to be made than these land acquisitions. And we do have to be careful about establishing precedents unless we're willing to move millions more dollars into emerging issues. I think all the real estate projects go through those challenges. I think this particular one is probably the easiest, is more easy than the other ones. But at the same time, we have a process to go through, and I think that if there was just one that you were proposing, I think that would be understandable. But when you put four together, four separate, seemingly different projects, it seems like a tough case to make that these are all emerging issues and couldn't have gone through the normal process either last year or this coming RFP session. So I would agree with Representative Packer on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions from members? We open up for conversation on these 4 items, but as Representative Hanson already said, President going to go one item at a time. So we're going to go back to his renew of motion. Hanson, renew a motion. Representative Hanson, can you make that motion one more time with the authorized staff for approval of the work plan, and then we can vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I move to approve the Benjamin project for $185,000. The work plan must be submitted both to the LCCMR staff and the DNR prior to the acquisition. Mr. Singer did note these are timely in terms of we do have an emerging issues account with dollars that will expire on June 30th of 2024, and the money will go back in the corpus. So I'd ask for your support.
Okay, roll call. Diane?
Gibson,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson,
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her,
Yes.
Her, yes. Acom,
Yes.
Acom, yes. Albrecht,
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Becker,
Backer, no.
Backer, no. Deestick is excused. Faber,
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green,
No.
Green, no. Heinzman,
Huntsman, no.
Heinzman, no. Hollins,
Hollins, aye.
Hollins, yes. Langseth,
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore,
Moore, yes.
Moore, yes. Morrison,
Morrison, yes.
yes. Pikel,
Pikel, yes.
Pikel, yes. Reese,
Reese, no.
Reese, no. Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 11 yes, 4 no.
Okay, we had 11 yes, motion prevailed for the Benjamin project. Any, so thank you. Any motion for the letter 3? Representative Henson.
Mr. Chair, I'd move approval of the CDA proposal, and it's my understanding that this would require 11 votes, the 105, and maybe Ms. Nash could describe the conditions on this one.
Director Nash.
Mr. Chair, so our statute 116P18 says that money appropriated from the trust fund must not be used to purchase any land in fee title or permanent conservation easement if the land in question is fully or partially owned by the state or a political subdivision of the state, or was acquired fully or partially with state money, unless the purchase creates additional direct benefit to the protection, conservation, preservation, and enhancement of the state's air, water, land, fish, wildlife, and other natural resources, and the purchase is approved prior to acquisition by affirmative vote of at least 11 members of the commission.
Okay, thank you, Director Nash. I see a hand from Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just renew my comments from the previous one, but also add that I think this one is exceptionally concerning, I should say, not disturbing, but concerning because, first of all, it's a government to government purchase. There is no urgency here. This can happen in the normal process. It can be vetted and compared to other projects that may be more worthy. They chose not to do that. They chose to use this process to expedite it. And then you have the added feature that it is a state to, or county to county, or county to state. I'm not exactly sure. Sounds like, it sounds to me like it is a county to county, where the county is basically asking the state to buy the land for them, and then they own the land. So I would encourage a no vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reese. Rep. Becker.
Yeah, I'm going ditto, but I'll be brief. We're talking about we're talking government to government. This is not an emerging issue. That identity, government can hold on to it and sell it during the normal process, and so forth. So this members seems to be way out, or significantly more out of our realms of what we're supposed to do. If we don't have guidelines to follow, then we can do whatever we want, and that is quite concerning. So thank you for that. This definitely to me is a easy no.
Okay, Commissioner Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, just quickly, these emerging issue accounts, in my view, as a commission member, is for chronic wasting disease, bird flu, things that really, really deeply matter in a short time frame. And I realize these funds go back June 30th, but we have a lot of time between now and then. Look at what happened with COVID and the need to put a lot of money into a quickly emerging issue. We can still see those issues. So let's not forget that this is the purpose of the account. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, we'll go back to Chair Hansen. Chair Hansen, are you making motion?
I would renew the
for
motion
CDA?
for the CDA.
Okay, roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson,
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her,
Yes.
Her, yes. Acom,
Yes.
Acom, yes. Albrecht,
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Becker,
Backer, no.
Becker, no. D-Stick is excused. Faber,
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green,
No.
Green, no. Heinzman,
No.
Heinzman, no. Hollins,
Collins, I.
Hollins, yes. Langseth,
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore,
More no.
Moore, no. Morrison,
Morrison, yes.
Morrison, yes. Peichel,
Peichel, no.
Peichel, no. Reese,
Reese, no.
Reese, no. Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 9 yes, 6 no.
Okay, it appears that we will need to have 11 votes for this, to my understanding. If I'm wrong, Director Nash, please correct me. So for CDA at $105,000 has not prevail. So, and I gavel here. Chair Hansen?
I would move the Haskell Street 104,000. It's my understanding that this is not a transfer between properties. It is a straight up proposal that could be used and achieved by June 30th of 2024. So I move it and I'd ask for your support.
Okay, for the sake of times, then I think we have already, been having very broad and detailed discussion already. So we can just go ahead with the roll call on Haskell Street, unless I see hands out there. I don't. So roll call on Haskell Street at 104, with staff authorizing staff to approve the work plan.
Gibson,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson,
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her,
Yes.
Her, yes. Acom,
Yes.
Acom, yes. Albrecht,
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Becker,
Backer, no.
Becker, no. D-Stick is excused. Faber,
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green,
No.
Green, no. Heinzman,
No.
Heinzman, no. Hollins,
Collins, yes.
Hollins, yes. Langseth,
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore,
More yes.
Moore, yes. Morrison,
Morrison, yes.
Morrison, yes. Peichel,
Peichel, yes.
Peichel, yes. Reese,
Reese, no.
Reese, no. Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 11 yes, 4 no.
Okay. Motion, hence the motion on Haskell Street had prevailed. Thank you very much. Let's go to item number 4. Chair Hansen.
Anticipating that there will not be 11 votes for the Wickland proposal, I will not make a motion to approve that. But I would ask Ms. Nash if there's any overall language we need to do for any of the emerging issues that we have adopted today.
Director Nash.
Mr. Chair and members, we do have some conditions for the acquisitions. These would be for the Benjamin property. And the condition is that Dakota County would provide proof that payment conditions have been met prior to the acquisition closing, and that Dakota County would submit the completed acquisition packets to the DNR grants unit for review at least 30 days prior to closing. And this is just to ensure a timely, orderly closing before the funding runs out.
Okay, thank you, Director Nash. Yes, Chair Hansen.
I would move those requirements as provided by Ms. Nash.
And is this a roll call motion or okay, roll call motion, Diana?
Diana, you are muted.
Gibson,
Yes.
Gibson, yes. Hanson,
Yes.
Hanson, yes. Her,
Yes.
yes. Acom,
Yes.
Acom, yes. Albrecht,
Albright, yes.
Albrecht, yes. Becker,
Point of information, Chair, I unfortunately had some noise in the background. Could you clarify what this motion does? I had some noise in the background. I apologize.
The motion here is to provide for the county to provide proof payment condition before closing or before they get the funding, and
so basically we're making sure that all the paperwork and everything is in fashion before money is spent, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Representative Becker.
Yeah, that's prudent. Yes.
Okay.
Becker,
I do vote yes.
Becker, yes. Deestick is excused. Faber,
Faber, aye.
Faber, yes. Green,
Aye.
Green, yes. Heinzman, Heinzman, yes. Hollins,
Hollins, yes.
Hollins, yes. Langseth,
Langseth, yes.
Langseth, yes. Moore,
More yes.
Moore, yes. Morrison,
Morrison, yes.
Morrison, yes. Peichel,
Peichel, yes.
Peichel, yes. Reese,
Yes.
Reese, yes. Westrom is excused. Currently, there are 15 yes, 0 no.
Okay. On the motion and condition here, the motion is prevail. So thank you, all members, and I just want to see if anyone want a motion on Wickland. I think Representative Hanson already stated. So this will conclude our action or motion agenda here. That puts us to jump to LCCMR other businesses on item number. Any other business from members?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to thank the members for your consideration. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to see both of you clearly now on camera.
Thank you.
So if there's no other business, our next meeting will be April 24th, 2024, Wednesday night. Director Nash, any other announcement about our next meeting?
Mr. Chair, I am hoping that April 24th meeting, given that it's during the legislative session, I think we're going to have to hold it at evening. So from 5 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 7. I will follow up with folks just to make sure that I'm not missing a caucus or something, a big meeting that night. And then I do want to say we're going to be moving along to our strategic planning subcommittee meeting. I believe right now, if people can hang on and to try to save some time, we are going to stay on the same Zoom. So counter to the instructions that we had provided you via Zoom, we're just going to ask that everybody drop off except for the subcommittee members, please.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I, appreciate all the patience that you have and patient about Chair Albright, our strategic planning subcommittee chair. So I will adjourn the LCCMR meeting as of now and pass my digital gavel to